Van life has become a super yassified pastime. According to the internet, it's for people with $300,000 to spend on a Sprinter van with an inside that looks like the Waldorf. But at its core, it's a low-cost way to go on an adventure. So today I'm gonna try van life for myself to answer two different questions. One, can you actually do van life for cheap? And two, is it actually fun or just a way for people with fake jobs to virtue signal that they're adventurous and outdoorsy? Let's find out. Before I hit the road, the LA Auto Show invited me to come see how absurd the state of van life had really gotten. This showcase of overlanding, essentially testosterone-infused glamping, had seemingly endless budgets and levels of creativity on how to put a tent anywhere but the ground. This is the pretty standard van life that you're used to seeing, but it goes from anything like this, which is the gnarliest Sprinter van you could ever imagine. As Matt, one of the founders of Truck House, showed off what he had built, I couldn't help but find myself wanting to have this $500,000 studio apartment on wheels for myself. This truck was seriously nicer than my home and also far more off-road capable than any truck I'd ever had. However, despite making a living off selling these, Matt was able to offer some words of encouragement.
At Truck House, although we build the most over-the-top vehicle out of solid carbon fiber, it's a vacuum-infused carbon shell. The windows come from the Netherlands. The oven comes from Germany. Like we find the best stuff on earth to do it. We really preach that it doesn't matter what you have, it's about doing it. Like put an air mattress in the back of your 95 Forester and go out and do it. And don't go out and do it fake. Like go out and actually do it. Go out and do it for the experience. Don't do it for the photo. Don't do it to tell your friends about it. Like go do it for you. This is one way to do it. This is a freaking badass way to do it in a very capable, super nice truck. But you could do it in whatever, a RAV4 with an air mattress in the back, just go do it.
So with Matt's words of wisdom in mind, I went home to pack up my van life essentials and proceed with the van I had at home. This is my 2004 Land Rover Discovery 2. It's not exactly a van, but it's close enough. This is a bed platform that I built from exclusively wood that I found inside my garage. I'm gonna put an inflatable mattress on top of that, so that should be a pretty comfortable bed setup. I even briefly considered taking my E30 instead, but in a moment of savvy discretion, I decided that BMW camping was for another time. Really, at this point, all you'd have to do is build or get a flat area to make into a bed. But yeah, this is super comfortable in here, and I'm 6'5", 250 pounds, 800 credit score. The only limitation with this car is the ground clearance. You might not be able to get over the terrain of whatever you're trying to accomplish, but if this was a little bit higher, that could get almost anywhere. With my van packed, it was time to hit the road. I was heading to the birthplace of van life, the Pacific Northwest. I had one last meal before heading into the wilderness to find a place to camp. My only rule was that in order to get the most out of van life, I had to actually camp in nature. No sleeping in parking lots or eating at restaurants until I got to Portland. It's officially day 2 of van life. We made it to Lake Isabel, which is not very far, but the spot we found is pretty sick. So far, this is how we're doing. In terms of comfort, I would say 7 out of 10. The only thing is the air mattress was deflating after about 2 to 3 hours, which it hasn't done in the past or when I've used it at my place, so I don't know what happened there. Otherwise, it would have been a 9 out of 10. It pretty much rained throughout the night, which was nice, but prevented us from getting up and after it earlier this morning, which is okay. In terms of fun, since we got after it so late yesterday, we didn't exactly get to appreciate this spot until this morning, but that's okay. It was nice driving through the mountains. We got to do some light off-roading to find this spot, and so far we're doing pretty good on cost. Really, the only thing that I've spent money on is my $150 sleeping bag from REI, which I think was money well spent, because last night I was super warm. It got probably to about 36 degrees, and it's definitely going to get colder the further north we get. So overall, I think that was good spend, and we might have to spring for another $30 air mattress or something, because the one that I have now, not holding air, is lame, and it's kind of holding us back. With an unwarranted sense of optimism and my brain mostly empty, I hit the road. If van life was destined to reveal some answers to life's greatest mysteries, it hadn't yet. But I must admit I did enjoy the first night and wish I could have stayed longer in Lake Isabel. This is going to be our first gas stop of many. This is definitely going to be the most expensive part of the trip. I'm probably going to end up spending more than I would have on a flight, but that's how it goes. The further I got away from LA, the more detached I felt from all the things that were stressing me out from before. At one point, taking all this time to drive so far away when I could just get on a plane seemed like a waste, but now it was starting to feel more like a benefit than anything.
At the tone, please record your message.
Hey buddy, I just tried to give you a call. I heard you're going away for a while on a big trip. I want to make sure you're all good, so give me a call back if you can, buddy. Miss you.
Howdy. I bought one of your chains online. Now my dick hurts and my neck is all green. So I don't know if those two things are because of one another or separate, but I definitely happened after I got some of your merchandise. Give me a call back.
Hey Matt, I was just calling to say sorry. I'm normally not like my manager was like pulling me in a million different directions, but I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Just calling to see how it's going over there. Hope you can make it to the show tomorrow. You play at 10, but just drive safe. Okay, bye.
So we made it to Shasta. I'm about midway through romanticizing how amazing van life is when something very bad happens. My Land Rover had a wheel bearing that's very unhappy with me. Now, it wasn't really making any noise until about the last hour and a half of my drive, and then I pulled off the highway and it started making a very, very unhappy sound. Now, there's a few courses of action we can take here. A, we stop here, we figure out the wheel bearing, and then we get sorted and drive the rest of the way up. Now, it's a Saturday morning, most shops are probably closed, so this could take a few days. B, we just carry on with the trip and head up to either Eugene or Portland and then figure it out there. I have about 3 days. That's the last leg of this trip, so that'll give me some time and a place to stay up there. C, I head to Bend. Our homie Mike from Stance Works, he says he's got a friend up there that can help me out with this situation. Bad news is both Eugene and Bend are another like 300 miles away. So it's a long way to make it on this. Now, before I tell you which one of those options I decide to go with, I'm going to tell you a story about a time that I crashed a drone. So I wake up early and I'm flying the drone. I have to fly it pretty quickly because I only have a couple hours before I got to hit the road. Now I'm flying it what I believe to be safely, but I end up crashing it into a tree and losing the drone. Now there's a couple reasons that I can't lose this drone. One, because it's a borrowed drone from my dad and he'll be incredibly pissed off if I don't bring it home. Two, because I haven't offloaded any of the memory on this card, so from this entire trip I've gotten drone footage and I would lose that if I were to not find this drone. So my only option here is to hike across a river, up into this mountain, and search through the trees to find this drone. Now as I'm searching all through this mountainside, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling dejected, and I'm also simultaneously experiencing some of the best views I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was searched for a long time, and eventually I find the drone. Now, was the drone completely totaled? Yes. Is the drone going to need to be replaced? Yes. But did this totaled drone still have the memory card in it? Yes. And I think the important takeaway that this drone crash is trying to teach me here is that we may be a little worse for wear at the end of our adventures, but the memories will last forever. My original plan was this. I leave Shasta and go straight to Portland, have time to hang out before my girls' show at 10 p.m. tonight. However, that plan is dead and gone. I'm now headed to Bend, Oregon to a guy named Alex's shop. I've never met Alex before, but he's generously offered to let me use his shop, and he's also helping me source a wheel bearing. He says he has a lead on one, so in an ideal situation, I make it the remainder of this 200-mile drive to Alex's shop. He's found a wheel bearing, we slam it in less than 2 hours, and then I drive to Portland, which is probably 4 or 5 hours, I'm not sure, and then I make it in time for the show. We made it to Bend, Oregon. While we were driving, Alex found a wheel bearing locally, so that's set to go. And this is his shop, Fit Garage. Been inside Fit Garage for 2 minutes and Roscoe already found a tennis ball. Alex may not have known it at the time, but he saved my whole trip. Although I could tell he thought I was just some California fruitcake, seeing his shop and hearing his stories about hanging with his boys and wheeling their trucks through the mountains seriously made me want to move to Bend. Ooh. With my new wheel bearing in, Alex sent me on my way, with new clothes and new reading materials written by none other than the inventor of van life himself, Foster Huntington. Despite my headlight having gone out, things were looking bright, and I was off to Portland.
This ain't forever, this ain't forever. Feel like heaven when I'm kissing on your roll, kissing on your roll, kissing on your rose-colored lips. Baby, let's go. Slide down to a place no one knows. Only dreaming all night. Who cares? Let's get lost in the flow. I love the way you spend the time running through your feet. The way we play in your chocolate deep. This stay forever, this stay forever. If you're heaven, whoa. Kissing on your roll, kissing on your rose.
The wheel bearing would not be the last of my car troubles. My check engine light came on, but as any Land Rover owner should, I keep a code reader in the car. This turned out to be a false alarm, but the more pressing issue was that my car still had a pretty serious vibration. I diagnosed this to be the front drive shaft. So because my car is four-wheel drive, my strategy was to remove this and drive the last 1,000 miles home in two-wheel drive. With a big storm coming, this was not an ideal solution, but it was my best option considering I had to head home the next morning. Drive shaft is officially out. And just like that, 2 trips to Harbor Freight later, I was on my way home. So I've completed the first 1,000-mile leg of this trip, and I feel like I have all the info I need to answer the questions that I set out to answer at the beginning of this video. So here goes. Question 1. Is it cheaper to do van life than anything else? No, it's absolutely not cheaper. In the first leg of this trip, I spent $300 to get a round trip to Portland flight. it would have been $400. So I'm gonna end up spending a lot more money. Now, could I have done it for less money if I had taken less detours and done it in a less efficient car? Yeah, of course, but that was all part of it. And those were challenges that I ran into along the way. And question number 2, is it actually fun or is it just an ultra cringe fake outdoorsy person cop-out? Well, with anything, it is absolutely fun if you look past the super whack elements of it. Anything that gets widespread acclaim in internet cloud is gonna have this shift from pure authenticity to mainstream adaptations. For example, if you look at wearing Supreme, shooting film photography, driving an air-cooled 911, thrifting, all of these things are popular because they're awesome. And dare I say the same is true for van life. If you want to explore, I highly recommend just getting in whatever car you have and hitting the road. It's an amazing time. I wouldn't trade my experience for anything. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna be posting a lot more on here, so make sure to subscribe and check out some merch and other stuff on my website at maxforcracks.com. Bye.